girls. Did you just lay an egg? I heard you. You was talking, huh? You enjoying this nice weather? Yeah. It's so cute. Every time I come out to the garden, they all run up. They think I'm going to give them something. It's not treat time yet. I think it's time to face the music and figure out what to do with all these loofah. So, as you can see behind me, I've got a long arch trellis. We put this up last spring and it's 30 feet long. And what we decided to do, we started in the spring by planting cucumbers. And then after that round was up, we ran all along this one side of the 30-foot trellis loofah. And it created this massive tunnel covered with flower, and then at the end of summer, loofah. And what we've done is basically just come out here and pick them as we wanted to. I picked about 20 and took all the skin off and saved the seeds. And then as friends have come around, what we've done is just let them come out here and pick them and take them home. It's been fun just to kind of hand a friend a loofah and not tell them what it is and say, all right, here you go, figure it out. So it's time to get rid of all this and make room for the next crop. So come along with me, let's do it. So what I want to do first before I start picking them is kind of have a look and see if I have any good quality loofah yet. Basically, as we've come to pick them, just kind of one by one, we picked the prettiest and the nicest ones and went from there. So there's still lots of really great looking loofah, ones that look nice and large, have nice just dried skin, and don't look like there's going to be anything crazy inside. But we also have lots of loofah that look like this. So they've kind of got like a different feel when you shake them, and they've got some growth on them, which can be okay after washing them. I think they might be fine. But I'm probably going to separate these into two different piles. And what I've noticed as I've tried to have a look at these, we had basically like a main crop of loofah come up. Those are like the first flowers that came and started to set fruit. And as the season went on, it started to create more. So everything started here and went up and over. And I'm noticing more of these bad ones over on the far side. So these are ones I think fruited later in the year and probably weren't even quite mature by the time the frost came. So that's why I'm noticing some of these. But we're going to give them all a shot and see what I can recover. So my plan is basically just to make two piles as I'm going down and leave the vines for now. I'll just worry about the loofah and then I'll come back through and grab all those. So I'm going to start here with some crappy ones. Stick them in a pile. So this was our first year growing loofah. We really didn't know what to expect. I was just excited to grow it. They said that they really liked warm weather, so we waited until I think it was 3 or 4 weeks after our last frost to even plant these out. I did start them inside and transplanted them out. Sometimes they recommend not to do that because they don't really like to be transplanted, so I was just extra careful when I transplanted them to be gentle with them. My favorite part actually about these was the flowers that they created. It was just a mass of yellow flowers all along the outside of the trellis, and the bees loved it. So I felt like more than any other thing in the garden last year, that was the one thing that brought the bees into our garden. Can't even get it. I like the tunnel. I thought it was pretty neat. Danny wasn't as big of a fan of it because he was just getting smacked in the face every time we walk through it, but I thought it was fun. It was fun to see. So I started with I bought 3 packs of seeds, and that was dumb. Because I feel like once you grow loofah, you're never going to need to buy seeds again. Just from the, I think, 20 to 30 that we've pulled so far, and the seeds I've collected from that, I've already got a huge quart bag of it. So I don't even know that I want to know how many more seeds are in here. And there's so many seeds that are on the ground now too because of it. It's kind of neat. Actually, this is a good example. I'll show you. So the way that these loofah are created, I don't know if you can tell. Yeah, here's an example of one. The bottom just kind of falls out of it, and then the seeds start dropping from there. So it's a great self-seeder, which I don't really know that I want. We're actually not planning on doing loofah on this tunnel this year. We've got something new planned, and we're going to share that in our next video. It talks all about our garden plans for the year. But we're going to do something new that I don't normally see people put on their arch trellis. So I'm going to take you along for that. Our plan is to actually put the loofah on this arch trellis. So this is the back half of the garden that gets walked through less than this tunnel. So Danny specifically requested that we don't do loofah in this tunnel again this year, simply for the fact that he has to walk through it so much. So I'm excited for all that. You know, we've had a couple nice days this week. We've got some more planned for next week, and it's been nice just to kind of get out in the garden and putz around and do things that I put off in the fall that need to get done before spring. Makes you think it's gardening time, even though it's not really. Who knew? So here's an example of some of the bad ones, and then what a nicer one looks like right there. So here's all the undesirables from my pile. Didn't even bother counting those. Here's an example of all the seeds on the ground everywhere. And then over here's my good loofah. So these are all ones that didn't look like they had a lot of weird growth on them. They looked large enough and looked like they'd be a good size loofah once it was peeled. And then I have a couple kind of set over here that were on the smaller side, but I wanted to peel and see what we got anyways. So let's crack one of these open and see what we got. Alright, so I've got my pile next to me, again about 75 loofah, and I've got a 20 quart just plastic bucket here so that I can put all the loofah seeds into something as I'm shaking them out. So this is generally what it looks like when it's done. You want to make sure that you don't have any big rotten spots on it or anything like that. You can take them inside and give them a wash and soak, and that'll get the rest of these off, little pieces. And if you do come across maybe a spot that doesn't look quite right, you can just cut it from there and use the rest of it. So here's the plan. And then as you can see, still lots of seeds in it. Ridiculous, actually. Alright, so Loofah is pretty easy to work with. It just takes some time, especially when you've got 75 to go through. I like to go through and crack them. And then you've got like strings that run all through it, that as you pull them, it pulls them off with it. So, let's see here. I've also seen where people will go and soak these in water, and they say it's easier to peel off that way. I just normally don't have enough forethought to do all that beforehand. So this is one that was a good size, but I'm really not a fan of the way it's looking inside. The last one I showed you had a little spot, but it was really only part of it. I think I'm gonna toss this one. And so all of these pieces, everything like this, these are actually gonna go into the bottom of raised beds that we're building, so I don't feel bad about not saving everything. So this was the first year that we ever did loofah. I'm pretty impressed by our results. I did a little bit of research and learned things like it needs lots of trellis space. You definitely want to plant it when it's warm, and it's not a big fan of transplanting, so you want to either try to avoid doing that or be really careful when you're transplanting it out. I also learned that it needs a really long warm season. Here in Virginia, or in Central Virginia, Zone 7A, we have about 180 frost-free days, 185 depending on the year. So we had a long enough season, especially considering I started them a couple weeks early inside. I'm curious to know if any of you out there have grown loofah before, if you have, what your tips are, and what your favorite ways are to use them. They're great sponges, and I love that they're compostable, but as you can see, I've got plenty of them. And Danny even said, he was like, all right, well, we don't have to grow loofah again next year, right? Because you've got plenty of loofah. And honestly, they're just so much fun to grow. I'm gonna grow them again this year. So thanks for coming along with me. As I said before, our next video is going to be all about our garden plans and some of the big projects that we've got set up for this spring and into summer. A couple of new things that we've never done before. So I'll have to bring you along for that. And yeah, just let me know if you have any questions or any tips you've got about loofah, or you need some seed, right? Bye.